Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, Mark Henry says dangerous Ryback owes wrestling an apology.
Shoot season is still open. Ethan Page shoots on Impact Wrestling and their lazy editing.
And shoot season is open on Twitter as well, sort of, as AEW's Britt Baker trolls Bayley.
And some good news surrounding COVID and Raw Legends Night. I'm Adam Wilborn.
I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news. Yes, I've cut my finger open.
It's a nice big bloody plaster. Let's kick things off by talking this Mark Henry Ryback situation. Two big, large gentlemen, two big beefy boys slapping digital beef with each other here. This is a goddamn mess. So this started when Ryback quote tweeted a WWE on Fox tweet saying the best superstar to never win the WWE Championship is, and then they're asking for follow-ups. Ryback took it a bit too seriously and said, wrestling is fake, guys, and the championships are props to market entertainers as champions. Nobody has actually ever won or lost a prop, as scripted physical entertainment is incapable of that. Obviously, okay, fake. A very bristly word among professional wrestlers because there's nothing fake about the bumps and the mileage and the road miles and everything else. It's particularly a no-go among wrestlers of a certain tenure. So Mark Henry responded to this, speaking on Busted Open, one of the podcasts. And he didn't mince his words here for Ryback like I'm doing on this video right now. Here's what he had to say. A lot of his peers look at him as difficult. A lot of his peers looked at him as dangerous. And yes, we talk about it on this show all the time. WWE is a show. It is sports entertainment. You don't use the word fake. The championship is the championship. It's not a prop, and he's wrong. I've been world champion in 3 sports, and I consider pro wrestling one of those. Here's where it gets really spicy. Ryback can't take away what I achieved. There's no way that you're bitter ass, you are wrong. Every wrestler that sees your face should walk up to you and say, hey, you're an ass. And I hope you know how to fight for real, because there are a lot of people that'd whoop your ass. He said the Ryback was trivializing the world title because he never achieved it, and added that the former Intercontinental Champion owed wrestling an apology. Ryback posted about 70 tweets in response to that. It's a massive long thread, but the key information is that he said he had respect for Henry and the wrestling business. He said his beef was with WWE and not Henry individually, though he did acknowledge that he could have worded the original tweet a little bit better. He stated that while Mark Henry is obviously very loyal to Vince, his words, Henry's experience in WWE was not the same as Ryback's experience, and he wasn't going to fire back with anger or insults. He wasn't going to do back. Ryback's above that. He's not going to insult you, Mark Henry, on Twitter. Except his last tweet read, I thank Mark Henry for our matches and wish him nothing but happiness and success in life. P.S. I know my punches taste like candy. That's part of being a good worker. Wink. So no, he didn't insult him. He just got extremely condescending towards the end of that tweet there. But Mark Henry is yet to respond to any of this silliness. Adam Wilborn, these old dudes are taking shots at each other on twitter.com and podcasts. What do you make of this?
I mean, I saw that Ryback tweet and I thought, oh, here we bloody go. I don't want to get into this too much. At the end of the day, we've got a bit of a history with Ryback. We're just reporting the facts at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be Team Henry because I was a huge Mark Henry fan. He should have been WWE champion, ironically, surrounding talk about who should have been which world champion, etc., etc. But look, like you say, I think it boils down to the simple fact that you should not say the word fake, particularly if you're someone who's actually competed in the business. Like you say, it's convoluted, but it doesn't help, like you say as well, that at the end, he just puts that little bit of sauce on that last tweet and you're like, oh, here we bloody go again. Yeah. I don't need another Twitter feud if I'm perfectly honest.
It's the original Ryback tweet is what baffles me the most, because it's like, what do you gain from that, man?
Yeah.
Like, what do you gain from quote tweeting WWE on Fox and saying, hey, this is fake and it sucks? I don't get it. Are you doing it for some kind of clout? I mean, it's got 130 likes. Was it worth it? Was it really worth it? I don't know. The whole thing seems very, very silly. But, you know, if we get some fire insults from it, it could be fun, I guess. Who knows?
Yeah, ironic that I say I don't want any more, you know, online feuds and stuff like that. And then I go on to talk about Ethan Page, who was obviously on Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view over the weekend, fighting his alter ego, the Karate Man. You've probably already seen the image doing the rounds, where he ripped out his own sodding heart. But anyway, Page was not happy with how that match was presented. Obviously, it was always going to be a bit surreal, let's be perfectly honest, when you're fighting yourself, but allegedly Page wanted this to be a bit more like the Final Deletion and a bit more serious rather than the sort of wacky green screen bollocks that they went for at Hard to Kill. He then ended up talking about it on a Wrestling Figures forum, saying, I felt the thought of the same guys fighting each other was comedy enough, and the more serious we took it, the better the reaction would be. But because I left the company, they lied to my face and just did what they wanted the whole time. I'm sorry if any of my fans paid for that pay-per-view and felt cheated, having earlier, as I mentioned, said that they lazily edited the footage together. He even put the free version up on YouTube, which he deemed better than the pay-per-view version. So yeah, understandable he's a free agent right now rather than with Impact Wrestling saying stuff like that.
Yeah, this is crazy. And then you got the Fightful report, I believe, that emerged maybe even like the small hours of this morning, saying that Don Callis was like, no, we can't recreate the Final Deletion. That's like a one-off. And then Scott D'Amore apparently just washed his hands of the whole thing and said, hey, listen, the original plan was you putting over Josh Alexander, your tag team partner, on the way out. You want to do this? Okay. This is a crazy goddamn mess. I suspect Ethan Page will show up somewhere, for he's a very talented guy.
Yes,
but
yeah, he is.
What a messy divorce. What a messy divorce. Speaking of Twitter, okay, cool. The worst link of all time. We got more Twitter beef, except it's not really beef. It's just two wrestlers from different companies having a bit of fun here. WWE quote tweeted, they did one of their, gimmicks here, asking people to quote tweet and fill in the blank. The blank was, blank should be the next guest on Ding Dong Hello with Bayley. Britt Baker chimes in, and who does she chime in with but Cody? Bayley responded immediately with a picture of herself looking like a cheeky little scamp from this week's episode of SmackDown, but they're clearly just having a bit of fun with this. Bayley replied to the original tweet as well with all kinds of weird suggestions, including Matthew McConaughey, Ellen, and Michael Cole. It's the kind of thing where a lot of people will take it the wrong way and go, how dare you take shots? But Look at the facts of this situation, right? Adam Cole, who's Britt Baker's other half, is in WWE. Aaron Solo, who is Bayley's other half, is very active on AEW Dark. They probably socialize at the same events in Florida. They are almost certainly just having a laugh, poking fun, getting people worked up. I'm all for crap like this. Cody's not going to be on Ding Dong Hello. That's not going to happen. But hey, man, I'm all for it. Let's have some fun. Let's stoke people up a little bit, right?
It's the argument you see all the time on social media, especially on Thursday evenings when figures come out, and then on Tuesdays when other figures come out, and then when SmackDown's figures come out over the week. Like, you can just enjoy both. You can enjoy what you like. You can enjoy Impact. You can enjoy MLW. You can enjoy AEW and WWE. Like, this is not a feud between SmackDown and Dynamite or WWE and AEW. It's just a bit of a laugh. Like, this is the only sort of Twitter feud that I'd actually be fully on board with. Stop taking everything so sodding seriously. And yeah, it certainly would be a surprise if Cody showed up on Ding Dong Hello. Which is just a fun little... I love Bayley's new outfit, by the way, for it. And it's a means to an end with her and Bianca Belair, of course. Yeah. And I did like the way she invited her to come through the door specifically, though. I like that touch. That was a nice touch. But they're probably going to have Titus falling through the door in the next few sodding weeks because it's nearly Rumble, innit? Nearly Rumble season. Let's move on to the final story of the day, though, and some good news surrounding Raw Legends Night and COVID. I realised when I said that it sounded a bit dodgy. What I mean by that is that none of the legends on Monday Night Raw should be concerned, or you shouldn't be concerned about their well-being, because they aren't believed to be in any danger off the back, of course, of WWE Champion Drew McIntyre testing positive. This is all off the back of Dave Meltzer talking on the Sunday Night's Main Event podcast, one of the best podcasts out there that isn't ours, saying that yes, you obviously had Hulk Hogan, you had Jimmy Hart, you had Teddy Long, etc., etc. Ric Flair, obviously, knocking about back there. But McIntyre tested negative for the illness until Sunday, the 10th of January, which was, of course, just ahead of last week's show. No legends on that. Well, Ric Flair was, but McIntyre wasn't there. Basically, he didn't test positive until after a long time after Monday Night Raw, so you shouldn't be concerned about the 60 and 70-year-olds who were on the show on Legends Night. Phew, Andy Murray.
Yeah, relieving news. I think, when Drew's test result came through, a lot of us immediately worried about the 70-plus people who were on that show and like, oh, God, what could possibly happen here? Sounds like everything is okay, folks, so that's good to hear.
Let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Of course, we want to get in touch with us. Mad Pancake starts us off saying, I know it's ages away, but who do you want to win Money in the Bank? For the men, I think either Ricochet or Adam Cole. And for the women, I'd love Liv Morgan to win. I think Liv is really underrated and all three of them would be great. What do you think?
I think I'd like to see, if Rhea Ripley's going to win the Royal Rumble, and I think she is, I would like to see Bianca Belair win the Money in the Bank briefcase. 2021 is the year we have to elevate both of those to become main roster forces. I mean, Bianca Belair should have been elevated last year. But I think the Money in the Bank briefcase would be a very good way to do that. And as far as the men's one goes, I agree. Adam Cole, perfect way to introduce him.
Yeah, no, you're going to hear no arguments from me. Adam Cole should be nailed on for that Money in the Bank briefcase. It's the only way to really establish him. And don't do the whole Money in the Bank when he loses loads of matches after winning the contract thing. But to establish him on the main roster, give him that briefcase. And I don't know, it's probably going to split from the Undisputed Era. But something along those lines when they do transition him up to the main roster. I'm just really concerned about how that's going to work, and this will hopefully cushion the blow a little bit. And Bianca Belair would be great if she doesn't win the Rumble. I'd also use it as a way to rehabilitate someone like Shayna Baszler, because if you had someone like her, a legit former MMA fighter, and you're like, yeah, she's just waiting in the wings, it's almost akin to Brock Lesnar, although they've kind of ruined Shayna Baszler for the most part. So if you're not going to give her the Royal Rumble win, as I said, to re-establish her, and you've already given her that mad Elimination Chamber run, which was so good in my opinion last year, let her have the briefcase, because last year she didn't win it because Nia Jax ran her into a wall or something. Weird. Second question today comes from Aditya Savant, who says, good day, guys. I've been watching Raw Talk and Talking Smack over the last few weeks and have witnessed some great promos on there. Do you think such promos should be done on the main show too? By the way, I'd love to see Brock versus Owens. You're not the only one. But what do you reckon? Those promos that we always talk about and see, they should be on the main show, but you sense that the reason they aren't is because they wouldn't be allowed to do what they do on Talking Smack and Raw Talk.
Yeah, for sure. I think the difference is in the scripting, and yes, I would like to see more promos of that ilk come on to Raw and SmackDown themselves. I get the impression from watching Raw Talk and Talking Smack that they just aren't scripted, at least not as heavily as they are on the main roster. Natural promos put together by the performers themselves are always more entertaining and more real and more legitimate and more believable than scripted promos. Cuts to the core of one of WWE's biggest problems, so yes, I agree.
It's all well and good sitting here, though, and saying, they should do those promos on Raw and SmackDown, but it is a leap into the unknown for WWE because they are so stuck in their ways. Do you reckon there's a way where they could say, right, here's a dry run for a promo. If you nail that, we'll let you do it on next week's show, because we know that there's not a huge amount of the same audience, aside from the hardcores that watch Talking Smack and Raw Talk.
Yeah, I mean, there certainly is. I think that's the most believable way that WWE could transition it. But at the end of the day, I think they should just stop being controlling dumbasses and let people talk. But yes, no, I agree with you completely.
Right, let's move on to our final question of the day. It comes from CoolLink7, who says, with the way things are developing, could you see Kevin Owens somehow beating Reigns for the Universal title, only to have pissed off Reigns come out at number 30 in the Rumble and win it?
I think it's the kind of shock booking that WWE might revert to from time to time to try and spike interest, spike numbers, make people gravitate towards the product and go, oh, what just happened? But I do think it'll be a long time before Reigns takes a pinfall, and I think it should be a long time before Reigns takes a pinfall or whatever the finish of a match is. He shouldn't lose for ages, so no, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think I did like what they did on SmackDown this week, but I think that this is going to be the conclusion to the Owens-Reigns saga with the last man standing match, and then they're going to have him murder everyone in the Elimination Chamber, and then hopefully face Royal Rumble winner Big E at WrestleMania, because that's what should happen. Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and yet another nod to the brilliant John Silver on Twitter at Silver1, who revealed overnight, Andy, why he's so mean to Alan Angels, and that is because he has never seen Anchorman. But before we go pitchforks and, everything to have a go at Alan Angels, I thought we could use this, Andy, as a space, not to bury other people for not watching these classic films, but to hold our hands up, along with you guys. Let us know in the comments section below, as Andy and I are about to do, the classic film, the film that everyone has seen that you haven't. What is it for you, Andy?
The classic film that I've not seen is Citizen Kane, which is, widely touted as like the greatest cinematic achievement of all time, almost everywhere. But here's the thing, man. I saw See No Evil, right? And Kane was crap in that. So how's he going to be any better in a film that came out like 60 years ago? You guys are nuts.
Very good. I've got to hold my hands up. I've never seen a film in the Godfather saga at all. I know all the references. Never actually sat down and watched it. Always planned to, but it's on that list up with The Wire and The Sopranos and all the other things that I'm going to get around to that I should watch when I'm busy. Again, rewatching The American Office. I don't know how many times I'm going to watch it on Netflix, but at least once more. But let us know yours. Come on, this is a safe space. We can all admit our faults in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Myself and the Daddy Boys sitting down to preview Monday Night Raw a little bit later on today. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch there, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at...
You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for happy birthday to the man with the biggest, delicious birthday cake in pro wrestling, Batista.
Happy birthday to you.
That was terrible. I'm sorry.
Dave. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilmore. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
I think I'm probably just gonna resign.